As Ed just reported, Texas Democratic Congressman Henry Cuellar says he hopes the southern border crisis does not become President Obama's, quote, Katrina moment. Joining me now, Congressman Henry Cuellar. Congressman, good of you to be here tonight. And so what are the odds of that? I mean, the White House responded to that today, saying that they are taking a very proactive approach. They don't seem to think your criticism is fair.
Well, again, we do appreciate that he did ask for that money, and now it's up to Congress, for us, the appropriators, to decide how much money we're going to go ahead and appropriate. But the thing is, it just doesn't take away that when you have a crisis, that person, that leader is going to be defined on how he or she handles that crisis. And I think by rolling up his sleeves and just going down there, and I understand he's doing fundraising, and I thank him as a Democrat for doing that, but he can get on Air Force One right after the last fundraiser, get on Air Force One, go down to the border, take half an hour, 45 minutes at most to fly down there, and then go see the situation. I think that is going to be very important.
Well, he's busy. I mean, Valerie Jarrett has written to Governor Perry, who was critical of the president on this, and said, look, she said that DHS Secretary Jay Johnson's traveled to the border on 5 occasions. A 6th visit is planned for Friday. She mentioned the vice president, who had a June 20 meeting with leaders from El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Mexico. Secretary Kerry also met with leaders from 3 Central American nations last week in Panama. And look, well, this is her talking about the humanitarian situation down there. In any event, she says other administration officials are doing their part. It's really not necessary for President Obama himself to tour the border.
Well, again, I do appreciate Secretary Johnson. He has been down there at the border, and I appreciate that. But again, let's look at what the facts are. In May of this year, about 48,000 people were detained just on the Texas border by Border Patrol. 9,700 of them were kids with no parents. June, the latest numbers, we had about 47,000 individuals who got detained on the border, and about 99,700 of them were kids. So we're still seeing the same consistent flow of individuals coming down. And when you have that type of flow, and by the way, it just didn't happen just the last week. I mean, this they had notice about this. The White House had about this for at least a year, because there was a CBP report that came out on this. And therefore, I still feel that the leader, in this case, the president, should go down there, get on Air Force One. He's in Texas. It shouldn't be that long. I know Texas is big, but he can get on Air Force One, be there in half an hour, and go see the border. And there's border leaders.
Why can't he understand what's happening at the border based on reports he gets from Secretary Johnson, reports he gets from you, reports he gets from... Why does he need to see it with his own 2 eyes?
Well, again, if anything, it's optics. And I think that people on the border, the people on the border want to see the president down there to make sure that he understands. And I think by having that individual, you can send surrogates anytime. And again, they're good folks. They're going down there. But I think they want to see him because, listen, every day we're getting about 1,200 individuals are crossing the border down there in Texas. And 20% of them are kids coming in with no parents. When you see the kids there and you see the situation, it's a humanitarian crisis, and at the same time, it has homeland security concerns that we have to look at.
Well, we put that full screen up, that picture of Valerie Jarrett's letter to Governor Perry calling this now a humanitarian situation, because up until now, the White House has been recognizing that this is a crisis and has been referring to it as such. And if you listen to the sound bites, it goes back and back: crisis, 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 emergency, emergency, emergency. And now suddenly it's turned into a situation instead of a crisis, which is having some folks wondering whether they're trying to change the messaging in the wake of the president's refusal to go and see it with his own 2 eyes. Representative Cuellar, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Megan.